And the guy says, well, it still exceeds $20. He calls me up. He says, what should I do? I says, give him the $50.
Get the hell out of there.
Get out of there. My goodness. What's, you know, but anyway, the point is, I think you're getting the point.
I got it.
The point is, our government is a illegal, wrongfully created government. And everything, see, if you look at the 13th Amendment, it says that there shall be no involuntary servitude.
Uh-huh.
There is voluntary servitude.
Yeah.
All you people out there have no rights. Every time you put down that I am a U.S. citizen, okay, you are now maritime, and the amendments to the Constitution and the Constitution no longer pertain to you. And you are all colored people. And I'm not throwing any attack against black people, because they can be judicial citizens. Anybody can be a judicial citizen by just understanding who he really is.
Yeah.
And the Founding Fathers absolutely wanted no part of this maritime situation. And if you heard my words earlier as to why they passed the 7th, and how there never was a 10 square miles originally, and why they needed the maritime law, then you'll understand why there was a civil war. It was not to free the blacks. It was to make slaves of everybody.
Okay. Just one quick question, and we'll take some calls.
Go ahead.
That first question you asked the judge, what kind of a venue? What is
nature?
What is the nature
of the case?
Of the case.
That means venue.
Okay. What is the nature of the case? And then you go for your 7th Amendment.
Well, wait for his answer.
Well, obviously.
But just because you've crossed the bar does not mean you've granted jurisdiction. If you ask for a 7th while standing on the maritime side of the bar, maritime has to stop. The floor will open up, and he shall preserve it, or he's committing a civil rights crime pursuant to his U.S. citizenship, and he will get mandatory 10 years in prison.
I love it. Boy, I hope we've got a judge or an attorney or people involved.
The word attorney, by the way, means to attorn, and if you look up the definition of attorn, it is to move venues.
Okay, let's take a call from Lawrence over in Sierra Madre, California. What do you say, Dave?
Hey, how you doing, Dave? Being we're on the name, you're not talking to Lawrence, you're not talking to a fiction, you're talking to Lawrence Dean O'Brien.
Thank you.
Okay, now, the nature of the name. Now, when they call your name, and you're responding, you're not responding to you, you're responding to the name.
That's true.
Now, if you ask the question, is that a fictitious name, or is that a legal fiction?
You could ask that question.
All right, then, what is a legal fiction? Something known to be false, but is assumed to be true?
They work on a lot of assumptions, don't they?
Yeah. So you have to give them joinder. Now, if you give them joinder on your name, you're admitting that you're a fiction. Now, isn't a fiction a lie?
Well, it's a title of nobility.
Well, it's still a lie, right?
Correct.
A legal fiction.
It's not really you.
So you're bearing false witness against yourself.
Well, they want you to, don't they?
Yes, they do. So what you do there, because of our ignorance, is we bear false witness against ourselves. And not only do we violate the law, we violate God's law.
Right, that is true.
Okay,
I wasn't really going to get into the God thing, but yes, it's actually a violation. See, I discovered God by finding His law.
Right.
Once I discovered His law, then I knew there was a Satan because I found His law.
Right, because it's all a legal fiction. Okay, so we have to be a false witness against ourselves, so there we are, compelling ourselves to bear witness against ourselves.
Did you hear what Clarence said, or Clarence Thomas?
Go ahead.
His famous little quote there, all the people in prison elected to be there.
Right, and so have several other Supreme Court justices.
He was more true than most people realize.
Yeah, they chose to eat the apple, and they chose to be stupid.
Correct.
Okay. Now, if we don't agree that we're the name, let's say you could do another thing. They call your name. They say Dave Hingston. You say, and you walk up to the bench and say, I am Dave Hingston, rather than say, yep, that's my name. I don't have a name. I'm a people. How can I have a fictitious entity? You know, it blows them out right there at the beginning.
This is why we covered the 7th, is because, see, let's say they trick you into their venue.
So that's what they try to do every time.
They always try that, yeah. But if you reserve the 7th, just in case that you know they've snagged you, and then evoke the 7th, you unsnag yourself. I don't usually mention the 7th initially. I'll stand there and have a friendly conversation. You know, like you're saying, what's the nature? Will you fix my name? I notice my name is not right on the indictment. You know, I have a lot of things we can talk about. And then when the judge thinks he's finally got you snagged, and maybe you screw up, That's the moment to revoke the 7th. But you have to understand all this to know when you've screwed up. If you don't understand what we're talking about here, you'll never know when you screwed up.
But if you stay on the name, you can win on that alone.
Yes,
I
that's
called
true.
up IRS 2 days ago.
Yes, sir.
They're sending me letters. They got this all capitalized Lawrence O'Brien guy, whoever the heck he is.
I've never met him. Have you?
No, I haven't either. And I asked them, I got to the problems resolution officer after I got hung up on everything, and everybody admitted that if I don't have a Social Security number, I don't have to pay a tax.
Were you ever assigned a Social Security number?
Never was assigned.
Okay, that's the correct answer because under penalty of perjury in front of Almighty God, I've never been assigned a Social Security number. My living person never had one. Now, this dead guy, David Hinkson, he had one.
Neither can I testify that I've had a birth date because I was too young to remember.
Actually, you were never birthed.
That's
the
true.
living room was not a maritime birth. You were born, not birthed.
I can't even remember when I was born because that would be perjury too.
I remember, but I remember I cried like a baby. Something was wrong.
If you remember, Lou, boy, I tell you what, you got a memory better than anybody else I know. My mommy's not around to tell me, so I can't remember.
Okay.
All right.
Any other things you want to make, caller?
Yeah, when I told IRS, I said, listen,